All right. Happy Wednesday to you, roommate. Hope everybody's doing well today. Here we go. We're going to get after it today, talking a little bit about area. Again, area is the amount of space that is taken up by a particular object. Okay? So we want to be thinking about the space inside of something. Commonly, you're going to be using multiplication in order to find area because if it's a rectangular shape, you can multiply the length times the width. It'll look a lot like an array, which we used when we were first starting with multiplication. So let's take a look about how we find the area of some rectangular shapes and how we find the area of some shapes that are rectangles that are put together into maybe like L or O or S shapes. Okay. Okay, so we're going to talk about area of shapes. In particular, let's start by thinking about a rectangle. So I'm going to just draw a rectangle here. Okay. There's some things that I know about rectangles. I know that this side here and this side here are going to be the same length, meaning that they're going to be the same size. I could call this one here 5 and this one here 5 as well. I also know that this one here is the same as this one here because they're on opposite sides and that's just the way it is with rectangles. They come to 90-degree angles. They have to be that way. So if I called this one 5, maybe I call this one 3 and this one 3. Okay. By doing that, I want to find out how much space is in here. I'm going to highlight it in yellow. I want to find out how much space is taken up by this rectangle. To do that, I would probably go about multiplying length times width. But before I do that, I'm going to show you why that works. So really, if I'm doing length times width, I'm thinking about it as tiles, the amount of tiles or squares that fit inside of this. 2, 3, 4. Here I've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 3, or a 3 by 5. Okay. By thinking about that, I could go about counting all of my tiles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. And that would help me because again, over here, I'd have 3 times 5 is 15, 5 times 3 is 15. And this is going to be recorded as something called square units. Remember, this idea of units is what you measured in. Because I haven't assigned a unit like feet or inches or meters, I'm just going to call it units. Okay. Now, counting squares is great when it's a small number. It's not so great if, say, for example, I make this one of these here, and all of a sudden now, and it looks kind of like a square, but I'm going to call it something outside of a square. I'm going to call it an 8 by 9. I don't want to count 8 groups of 9 or 9 groups of 8. I don't want to do those individually. So here, I know that this is a 9 by 8, and that's going to give me my square somethings, okay, to find the total number of space inside. Again, because I know multiplication, I might think about this here as being a 5 and a 4. And I know that 5 times 8 is equal to 40. And I know 4 times 8 is equal to 32. And that's going to help me know that this is 72 square somethings. Okay. That's all awesome when we're talking about square shapes. Now let's take it to the next level and start looking at L shapes, S shapes, or O shapes. Same idea applies. As I'm looking at this here, I need to start by thinking and dividing it up into smaller pieces. Here, I'm going to use an L shape. The things that I know about this are that this is one long side, it's all together. This side here, these two sides, I'm going to highlight in green, are the same size together as this one over here that is in purple. Meaning that these two greens are equal to that purple. So if I called this over here 8, and I called this 5, I have to think to myself, 5 plus what is equal to 8? And you'd absolutely be right, 3. Okay. Same idea applies over here. If I made this over here yellow, these two blue pieces have to equal this here, the yellow one. So if I called this down on the bottom, I called this 6. I might have this here as a 2, which means that 2 plus something is 6, and you're right, it's equal to 4. Now that allows me, once I know my sides, I can go about deciding exactly how I want to divide up my shape. Here, I'm going to decide to go this way, go vertically here, and I could have done it another way. It doesn't necessarily matter. I like to trace my pen around it. I'm going to use a different color here. see precisely what I'm talking about. As I go around it, I really want to be thinking about what sides do I see. This one here is 8. It's one full piece. Now, if I go around this part on the bottom, well, it says 6, but 6 is all the way over to here, all the way over to this side. And I know that mine stops here, so it can't be 6. So I'm going to keep going. It's not going to be 5 because 5 ended here. So I'm going to keep going. It's an 8 by 2. I'm going to put that inside of here. I'm going to go over to my other one over here as well. As I trace it, I know that this here I can see is a 4. It's a 4 by something. So I'm going to go down this way, and this one is a 4 by 3. If I add up my 4 by 3 and my 8 by 2, that's going to give me my total area for my space, because these combined are equal to my L shape. Give it a try when you're at home. Try going through and looking and creating some L shapes or some S shapes or some O shapes and see what the areas those are and post them either to Seesaw or take a picture and put them into your Google Doc. Good luck with your area this week.